Welcome.
Hello, imagine of this. You are 26 years old and you have just dropped out of campus. You have not even finished your degree. Most people at that age are either trying to convince their parents that YouTube is a real career, or figure out how to pay rent in Nairobi without surviving on noodles. But not Seth Mwabe. Allegedly, and I have to stress allegedly, he hacked his way into a staggering 11 million Kenyan shillings. Now, before you start shouting, teach me that code, bro. All googling how to hack corporations in 10 easy steps. Let's slow down, because this isn't a movie script. This is a real case unfolding right here in Kenya, and it raises some serious questions. How does a 26 years old without a fancy Silicon Valley background allegedly pull off something banks spend billions to prevent? What does this say about the cybercrime in Kenya, where mobile money is literally the heartbeat of the economy? And here is the bigger twist. Is Seth a criminal mastermind, or just a symptom of a system that isn't catching up fast enough? Today, we are breaking down the story of the most talked about cyberways, Seth Mwabe. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at that little M-Pesa message in your phone the same way. This is Mwabe in Tech. Welcome.
Welcome.
Who is Seth Mwabe? Well, Seth Mwabe isn't some dark hoodie-wearing hacker from the movies. No, he is not in a neon-lit basement with 10 screens and a matrix of code flying everywhere. He's a mere university dropout, originally from Migori County, just 26 years old, a guy who by most accounts kept to himself quiet, reserved, and not the type that can cause a scene. The kind of neighbor you'll greet on your way to a kiosk and never think twice about. And here is the twist. According to investigators, this ordinary looking young man allegedly turned his laptop into a money machine. Think about that for a second. Not a high-tech laptop, not a James Bond gadget, just a regular laptop. The same device most of us use to watch Netflix or send job applications. He allegedly used it to tap into systems worthy millions. And that's exactly what makes this story so unsettling and so fascinating. Because it's not just about shoddy figure hiding behind anonymity in the dark web. It's about someone who could be seated next to you in a matatu right now, earphones in, looking just like another Kenyan trying to make it. The only difference, police say, his hustle wasn't TikTok content creation or selling sneakers online. It was hacking. And now, let's talk about the allegations. What happened? Well, according to investigators, Seth allegedly pulled off 38 sneaky transactions using PesaLink, the interbank service that lets you to zap money directly from one account to another in seconds. And now, here's the kicker. In total, he moved about 11.4 million Kenyan shillings. And not from an underground banker, but right from his apartment in Tatu City. No car chases, no gunmen, no Ocean 11's drama, just a Wi-Fi, a laptop, and a whole lot of brain power. To put that into perspective, the money already moved faster than Safaricom's M-Pesa ad loads on your screen. You know, the one that starts with a sneaky, catchy tune. By the time you are halfway humming along, Seth had already supposedly pushed another transaction. But the wildest part isn't even about the speed. It's the explanation. The police call it fraud. Betika calls it cybercrime. But Seth, he calls it, wait for it, software testing. Yeah, in his version of event, it wasn't theft. It was basically a science project. Imagine walking into the courtroom and saying, Your Honor, it wasn't stealing, it was beta testing. And that is where things get complicated. Because in the tech world, there's actually such a thing as ethical hacking, where companies pay experts to poke holes into systems so that the bad guys don't get there first. The problem? Well, those experts usually have contracts and NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and permission. Seth, on the other hand, had, well, none of that. Just a bold claim that he was doing the betting firm a favor, a very expensive favor. And now, let's talk about the cyber lab, the movie scene moment. When cops finally raided Seth's apartment, they say it looked less like a student babysitter and more like a scene out of Netflix. According to reports, they found out what can only be described as a mini cyber lab. Laptops, multiple routers, external drives, and even a safe neatly tucked at the corner. And wait for this, a money counting machine. Like, who casually owns one of those unless you are either running a bank, a casino, or well, something very questionable. Picture this. Police push open the door, expecting maybe a dusty laptop on the desk, and instead they walk into what looks like a startup office combined with a Heist movie set. Bruh, this guy wasn't just coding, he was living inside a whole Mr. Robot episode. It almost feels unreal because we usually imagine hackers as ghosts on the internet, faceless, untouchable. But here was a real apartment in Tatu City with a real equipment, real cash handling tools. No Hollywood, no fiction in 2054 Kenya 2025. And now, let's talk about the defense, his side of the story. Seth, of course, says he didn't steal a single shilling. Not one. That is his version. He wasn't committing fraud. He was just stress testing the system. Basically telling the court, guys, I'm not a thief. I am an unpaid penetration tester.
Oh, really?
Now, if you have never heard of that term before, penetration testers or pen testers are the cybersecurity pros companies usually hire to find the loopholes before the bad guys do. They get contracts, NDAs, non-disclosure agreement, and nice paychecks at the end. Seth, on the other hand, is painting himself as a volunteer version, a very, very expensive volunteer. But here is where the things get sticky. In cybersecurity, the line between ethical hacking and outright cybercrime is razor thin. If you break into a bank system without permission, even if your goal is to test for vulnerabilities, the law doesn't clap for your curiosity. It claps you in handcuffs. And that is exactly what makes Seth's defense controversial. Is he a misunderstood genius exposing flaws Betika should have fixed? Or is just wrapping fraud in fancy tech jargon, hoping the judge buys onto it? Either way, the argument has sparked one of the most heated debates the Kenya cyber scene has never seen in the recent past. And now, let's talk about the court drama, the bail, bond, and suspense. In court, things played out like a full drama series. The prosecution begged the judge for 20 more days to keep Seth behind the bars, saying this guy is too clever. If releasing, it meant vanish into thin air, or worse, keep hacking from his bedroom. But the judge wasn't buying it. In a classic Kenyan style, she basically said, watch mchezo, and decided the investigators had enough time. Her ruling, Seth will be released on a 500,000 Kenyan shillings cash pay. Now here's the twist. Freedom came with strings. Seth must check in weekly with investigators, almost like staring into his own series. Think about it, every Friday, instead of waiting for the latest Netflix drop. Investigators are waiting for the next episode of Keeping Up with Seth Mwabe. It's suspenseful, it's unpredictable, and just like your favorite Bing Watty show, everyone is watching closely to see what happens in the next installment of The Real Life of a Cyber Trailer. And now, let's talk about the bigger lesson, Cybersecurity 101. Here's the real thing. What Seth is accused of doing isn't just about a guy in Tatu City. It shines a massive spotlight on the weak spots of Kenya's digital finance system. Think about it. If a single 26 years old with a laptop can allegedly move millions, what could an organized cybercrime syndicate with resources, training, and international connections pull off? The truth is, Kenya is not just a local target. We are Africa's hub for mobile money, and that makes us a global playground for hackers. And it's not just banks at risk. Betting firms, fintech startups, even circles are juicy targets because wherever money flows digitally, cyber criminals follow. And here is a part that most people forget. The weakest link in cybersecurity isn't always the system. Sometimes it's you. The person using the same password for Gmail, Facebook, and their banking application. The one who clicks a random Telegram bot promising to double your money in 24 hours. Or the friend who believes the prince from Nigeria emails. So here is a public service announcement. Update your password. Use a two-factor authentication. Don't trust every flashy link that lands in your inbox. And please, if anyone tells you they are testing a software where your money vanishes, just know that is not a feature. It's a fraud. And now, let's talk about the global connection, not just Kenya. This isn't just a Kenyan problem. From New York to Nairobi, Lagos to London, cyber fraud has become the new pickpocketing. The only difference, instead of snatching your phone on Tomboya Street or your wallet in Times Square, hackers snatch your money digitally, all while in their pajamas, a coffee mug in hand. And it's a big business. Globally, cybercrime drains trillions of dollars in a year, more than the economies of entire countries combined. That is not just a statistic you should just scroll past. It's a wake-up call. And here is the twist. Kenya is right in the middle of this global battlefield. Why? Because we are the world's leader in mobile money. M-Pesa put us on the map, yes, but it also put a massive target in our backs. The same way oil-rich nations attract smugglers, mobile money hubs attract hackers. So while Seth Mwabe's case feels like a very Kenyan story, it's actually part of a much bigger puzzle. A puzzle where the playground isn't the streets anymore. It's in the apps in your pocket, the bank systems in the cloud, and the password you keep reusing across Netflix, Gmail, and your Circle account. Bottom line, cybercrime is global, and Kenya is playing in that league, whether we like it or not. And now, let's talk about the comedy sprinkle, the future meme, or should we say the current. Now, you already know Kenyans on Twitter, or should I say X, they wasted zero time. The memes came faster than a flash sale on Jumi. One meme read, when your campus dropout classmate suddenly buys a money counting machine. Another one, Seth Mwabe, from Meru University to Pablo Escobar Academy. Kenyans will always find a joke even in the middle of a cybercrime case. And honestly, it's funny because it feels so relatable. All about that one quiet classmate who disappears, then suddenly pops up online looking way too successful, way too fast. And here is the reminder, jokes aside, this isn't just a meme content. This case is very much alive in court. And legally, Seth remains innocent until proven guilty. So while the internet laughs, the justice system still has to decide whether this was a genius level fraud or just a badly misunderstood software testing. In conclusion, so whether Seth is a misunderstood cyber genius or Kenya's most unlucky software tester, his story is a wake-up call. Because cybersecurity isn't about big tech wars. It's not about the geeks in hoodies. It's about your money. your data, and your peace of mind. And here's a question I'll leave you with before you log out tonight. Who really has access to your wallet? Is it a bank, a betting firm, or maybe some Seth somewhere armed with a laptop or a Telegram bot? The truth is, in today's digital Kenya, the battlefield isn't just online. It's in your pocket, in that little M-Pesa message, in the password you keep recycling, in apps you download without even thinking twice. So stay alert, stay smart, and remember, in the cyber world, trust is the most valuable currency. And hey, if you want stories that mix tech, drama, and a spring of comedy, hit that like button. Subscribe. And let's keep decoding the wild world of cybercrime in Kenya and beyond. This is a Mwabe Tech. See you next time.